In this section, I'm going to be looking at measuring mental toughness and how actually we can go about doing that, particularly with a product called the MTQ48 from AQR International. The MTQ is a high quality, unique 48 item psychometric measure that measures mental toughness. It's really useful in helping us to understand why somebody might be behaving or performing in a particular way. It's very good then at explaining to others why mental toughness could be a good explanation for what's happening with that particular person, or even with a whole team. And it's very good at pointing the way forward, giving an indication as to where individuals and groups might benefit from some particular attention to increase their levels of mental toughness, either as a whole or in one of the facets of the 4 C's, which we're going to come on to in some later videos. When it comes to interpreting the MTQ, scores are laid out in a STEM score, very much as you see in front of you. There's an overall score given to someone's mental toughness. In this instance, they've received a 4. And then each of the 4 areas of mental toughness are broken down and given a score. So you'll see here we have 2 for challenge and 3 for commitment. While control has an average of 5, it's broken down into both life control and emotional control, 2 particular subsets that we can measure. And that's the same for confidence. Confidence in abilities and interpersonal confidence. Overall then, these give to the particular score that someone might receive, but they give a clear indication that some people might be a little bit higher in certain areas and perhaps a little bit lower. And this allows us to start a very effective conversation and to understand why somebody might be behaving in a certain way, and what then we can do to help them address their particular issues and move them further up to a score that's more appropriate to where they need to be. It's useful when to think about that, to remember that the MTQ is a normative measure, and what that means is scores are assessed against a database of over 30,000 other people by age and by gender. And as it breaks down, people who score between a 4 and a 7 fall within what we call the norm range of mental resilience, and that accounts for about 68% of people who have taken the MTQ. At each end, we have what we call the outliers. At the lower end, the more mentally sensitive end, we have people who score between a 1, 2 and a 3, and they account for about 16%. And at the other end, our 8s, 9s and 10s also account for about 16%. So an individual who falls into a range of between 4 and 7 is what we consider of about average mental toughness. This isn't about trying to get to an 8, 9 and 10, or everybody trying to be an 8, 9 and 10. That's not how it works. What's important though is the context and each individual. If an individual is scoring about a 5 and a 6 and they're happy with where they're at, they're performing at a required standard and they're comfortable dealing with the stresses and challenges that they face, then that's absolutely fine. However, if an individual is say a 5 out of 10 but is struggling and not being able to perform and struggling to deal with the stresses and challenges that they face, then what might be required is to try and move them up the scale more to say a 6 or a 7. So this isn't about trying to go back to our school days and trying to score an 8, 9 and 10. It's very much context related and very much down to the specifics of the individual.